All right, welcome back, Speakers Group. 22 days getting booked as a public speaker. Today, I want to talk to you about how to tell a good story. When I was talking about Joseph Campbell, who wrote The Hero's Journey, and came up with this theory that every single show that you like, every single book that you love, every story that you've ever heard has 12 parts. So it's also been called the three-part act because part one is call to adventure. Think about any story. It could be Harry Potter, could be Star Wars, could be Hunger Games, could be The Wizard of Oz, could be The Matrix, could be any of those shows, could be anything that you're watching, could be a kid's show. It starts with part one is call to adventure. Part two is basically the growth, the transformation. And then part three is returning home. So it's basically a hook, path, persuasion. It's basically they get out there, they have this weird, wonderful world, and then they go home. That's part 1, 2, and 3, so three-part act. Write down this acronym as I tell it to you because the letters of three-part acts actually tell you every single step that a story needs. So the word three has some letters in it. So THREE is the territory, the herald, the refusal, the education, and the event horizon. The way this works is the territory. Describe your characters and where they are. So this is going to be brought back to how you tell a story to make an offer and a pitch, but your territory is where does your character exist now? So if it's Star Trek, they're in space on a spaceship. If it's a smoker, that they were perfectly fine, blah, 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 and then after the territory, H is the herald. Herald is the thing that moves the story forward. So there I was in the territory, a perfectly normal person, and then I had a heart attack, and then I knew something had to change. Does that make sense? So this is the first two parts of any stories. There I was, there the character was, and that was the situation, and something happened, the herald occurred in order to change it. So this is when you're relating this back, remember the DDFF? The dreams, desires, fears, and frustrations. So you're going to be bringing this back to the DDFF to find out, well, what's the territory and what's the herald for me? When I said pick one problem, go back to your DDFF and find the one problem that you wrote 5 things for and start grabbing that stuff to start populating your story. So this is either a case study of you or someone else that you've helped or someone who you know has been helped, but first they had to have a problem. So there was what we call the territory, the herald. R is the refusal. So we've gone basically the territory. There I was, a normal person. Herald, I had a heart attack. Refusal, I'm not going to do anything about it. Does that make sense? All attractive stories, the most attractive part of a story is the refusal. So you've got the herald and the refusal playing against each other. The guy needs to change, but he won't. He wants to get the girlfriend, but he won't learn how to shower and listen and stuff. The guy wants to earn more money, but he doesn't want to actually stop gambling. He doesn't want to quit smoking because he just loves it too much. He wants to keep drinking because he loves it too much. If that makes sense, that is the territory, herald, and refusal. This is the setup of any good story. Along come the mentor. So this is the education. So this can come through information that comes through a book, through a person, through a coach, that, there I was, a normal person, territory. Then the herald, I had a heart attack, refusal, didn't want to do anything about it. Then the education, somebody started to tell me what was going to happen if I don't do something about it. This is a good place to start taking the fears from your DDFF and populating them into your refusal and education. They have a dream to do something, but they've got a refusal which is playing against it. So they've got two sets of values. They're afraid of dying, but they love smoking. So they're playing against each other. Or that you want to help people with relationships or health or money or time or happiness. They want something, the herald, but then the refusal is they're not going to do anything about it. And then the education comes where they know that maybe they're learning their path forward, but they're still a little bit wary. The next E in the letter 3 stands for event horizon. And this is where, with the event horizon, point of no return. Alice in Wonderland Alice fell down a hole. In the Matrix, Neo left the Matrix. In Star Wars, he had to run off with Obi-Wan. With any story like Harry Potter, the event horizon is when he went to, 9 3/4 platform on the train station and he had to go to Hogwarts. And so it's the point of no return. So that's where, and I said 3-part act, part 1, 2, and 3. So the first part is the call to adventure. All we've got so far is the call to adventure. So there I was, normal person territory, herald, heart attack, and then refusal, not going to do anything about it. Education, my fears are coming at me going, if you don't do something about it, you could die. Then the event horizon is, well, fine, I'll do something about it. I'm going to book in to see a doctor. That is what we call the call to adventure. That's part one. Does that make sense so far? Good. You guys are doing so great, and I hope this is helping. Part two of your story is, we've got, remember, 3-part act. So we're saying 3, the letters in that start for part one. The letters in part is actually the middle of your story. This is pretty cool, guys. So P stands for the proving ground or the problem. So even though your character, as they come to Act 2, even though they've committed to a fix, everything ain't fixed just yet, if that makes sense, but they've committed. So it's like Harry Potter's turn up to Hogwarts, but it's the proving ground. He has to learn how to survive with other wizards, not get too bullied by the other houses. Or whether it's with the Matrix, like he's out of the Matrix, point of no return. He wants to be the one. However, he's still got agents to work with. He's still got to go through his training. What the Wizard of Oz, that she's still got to work out how to get down work out what to do with this like witch that's dead and a witch that's telling her, you've got some slippers, go along that brick road. Whatever the story is, you've got the proving ground. She needs to learn how to survive there because like Dorothy, as she's walking down that brick road, a lion comes out and all this stuff starts coming out. And so that's when you start introducing new characters in the proving grounds. So we've gone, the heart attack story, the proving ground. This is how the story works. I went to see the doctor. This is a fake story, by the way. It's not real. I went to see the doctor in the proving ground, and he gave me some things that I needed to change in my life. It's like quit smoking, quit drinking, start exercising, go to bed earlier. And I'm like, my whole personality works against that very instruction. I'm the party guy. Everyone knows me. I'm the fun one. I get out there and party. I don't go to bed early. I don't quit smoking. I don't quit drinking. I've committed to do it though, but I don't know, it's a proving ground. And then there's the approach. So we've got P for the proving ground. The approach is then, all right, I've started on this plan the doctor's given me and I've said, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I'm actually kind of doing all right. And I'm actually gaining some wins. The strength of the story is about the ups and the downs, not just an up. That is boring. It's the ups and the downs and the ups and the downs. You've got, like in Hollywood, what they call the beat sheet. Whether it's the emotional beat sheet, there's got to be a win and a loss and a win and a loss and a win and a loss. And there's a rhythm to it and a rhythm to it and a rhythm to it. Because if the character just keeps getting better and better or worse and worse, you've either got like some overpowered character or you've got like just a horror movie. And they're fine in other categories, but this is not what you're doing. You're doing basically like a hero's journey. And that's how you're going to sell your clients, by having a story, then a pitch. We've already talked about the business. So after P, for proving ground, we've got A for the approach, because they're approaching the big mission where they really have to do this. They really have to be serious. Then the R stands for the rival. So this is the big bad challenge. So there I was facing like my first week of actually having to do this. I've got the calendar set up where I know that I need to do this forever. And then what happens is I enter New Year's Eve. Every New Year's Eve, we drink, we smoke, like take drugs or whatever it is. And we love it because I'm the party guy. People are depending on me to be the party guy. But if I keep partying, I'm going to die. So this is the rival. I need to conquer this whole challenge. So in my head, I need to ask myself, am I enough? Go back to your DDFF to populate this, because in your DDFF, it's going to be talking about your dreams, desires, fears, frustrations. Am I enough to fulfill my dream, or am I going to only focus on the fear? Does that make sense? Good. And so then you win, you break through, but it's like the phoenix that kind of dies, or the ego dies, turns to ash, and then is reborn from the ashes of the phoenix, so that the ego finds something new. So along the proving ground, where people tried to help me early on and said, well, if you're not going to, drink and smoke and whatever, and just party, maybe you can join us and play board games. And like, board games, that's stupid. I'm committed, but I don't want to do that. Then the approach, I want to kind of look like I'm going to fight the New Year's. Then the R, the rival, I've got to win New Year's. And then as they're asking me to sort of like drink and smoke with them, something starts to occur in my head that I'm remembering back to, like, I actually did play a few board games. I actually did enjoy those board games. And I actually kind of wish I was playing a board game right now. And so that the death of the old character is that this attachment to ego of, I have to have alcohol to be loved. I have to, because that's how this happened. Didn't have a lot of people around me, but when I started drinking with people, I had hundreds of friends. that I wasn't really a smoker, but then when I started smoking, I had hundreds of friends. So there's a real fear of being lonely. So it's not the alcohol and drugs and stuff, it's the fear of being lonely. But you know what? I played board games with a lot of people as well, and that didn't involve any drugs or any cigarettes, any alcohol or any kind of poisons. So then going through the rival to the other end, I realized that New Year's Eve or that New Year's Day, you know what? I actually kind of prefer other kinds of fun. I like to hike. I like to play board games. I like to do video. I like to, or whatever. Again, this is a fake story. It wasn't really about a heart attack. Then the T in part stands for the treasure. So the treasure that I get isn't just that I'm not going to have a heart attack. The treasure that I get is the treasure that I didn't realize all along was there. The treasure that I get is that now I get my new friends who play board games with me and hike with me. Some of them are the old friends who have come along into the new category. Does that make sense? So we've gone part 1, part 2, and now part 3, because part 1 was call to adventure, off I go. Part 2 was the transformation, and part 3 is the return home. So ACT stands for arrive, ACT, arrive, cure, and transform. Or it's the T, which stands for transform, is about the fully realized hero. So arrive is there I am coming home back to the board games. There I am coming home back to the board games. When then people start asking me, Scott, do you want a beer, or where's your bottle of bourbon that you usually have? You're not going to want to play these board games with us because you prefer to like go off and drink and get wasted and stuff and have another heart attack. But in my C state, so the A, which is the arrive, C for cure, I prove to them, you know what, I'm not interested in talking about alcohol and stuff. I'm not interested in having a drink. I'm not interested in having a cigarette. I'm not interested in all those old things. Because now I'm T, which is the transformed character. I'm the fully realized version of myself. So I beat this battle without effort in part 3 because I beat part 2 with so much effort, and I had to change who I was in part 2 in order to become who I am in part 3. So that is 3-part ACT, guys. Again, if you haven't written it down, go back and write it down, because 3-part ACT, territory, Harold, refusal, educator, event horizon, part 1, proving ground or problem, the approach, the rival, the treasure, part 2, and then part 3 is the arrive home, the cure, and the transformed character. That's all I got for you today, because that's a lot. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Again, thank you so much for smashing those videos out, for complimenting each other, for lifting each other up, not bringing each other down, but lifting each other up. You guys are amazing. You guys are going to get booked in 22 days as a public speaker. So far you've got, how do you hold a camera? Put it on a stand, use some duct tape, tape it to your wall, have some space behind you, be evenly lit, have a microphone, make sure that you've got your 3-part ACT, make sure that you have a product with a name, steps, and price to sell. We haven't talked yet about how to pitch a JV partner. Like, we haven't talked yet about how to approach someone with a stage, but we just wanted you to get the speak up done before the reach out. We're going to talk about web page stuff. We're going to talk about how to promote. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But your DDFF, again, was the platform that everything was based on. So you guys rock, and I'll be talking to you soon.